This week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast is brought to you by listeners like you. Head on over to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast and subscribe today. Fans, founders, and insiders like you help us keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going, and we thank you for your support.
Hi, I'm Jeff Galloway, and you are listening to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country. And after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, welcome to episode 158 of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. I'm your host, Aimee.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Welcome to the show. We're happy to have you here, no matter where you are, near or far. A lot of us were running this weekend.
I was so surprised to see all of the messages and posts from members of the Runcation Nation out there pounding the pavement at live and in-person races. It was so nice to see.
I think Fun Size Jen was doing a 10K, and JoJo, who is known as Positively Polly 1 on Instagram, she was doing that half marathon that had the caverns at the end. That was super cool.
That one looked so neat.
Jennifer Fink was doing a 5K. Jessica was doing a bridge run, not an official race, but still a great, gorgeous run outside. Mm-hmm. So we had
Prairie Run?
Lots of people. Yes, that is the longest one is for last. That's Cheryl from Cheryl Shenanigans on Instagram.
Yes.
And she was, oh my goodness.
After I got my slide ruler out to figure out exactly how much running over what period of time was being done.
I know she tells us every single time, and I love that.
Yeah, you had 50 hours to complete this run, and it was a 5K.
Every 5 hours?
Every 5 hours.
I hope we didn't screw it up, Cheryl.
I think that's it. Math's not my strong suit.
It's not mine either, clearly. My sister she took all the math genes, my older sister, and taught math for many years, and it just didn't rub off at all.
No.
Yeah. So
I didn't catch any of it by osmosis either.
Here we are. Cheryl, we applaud you for all the miles you did and the dresses that you wore that made us think of Little House on the Prairie. And
so that was the theme.
Laura Ingalls Wilder, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it made me think of. I know there's a whole different explanation around it, but I was just, so impressed.
I was too.
With everybody.
And it's kind of like we talked about a few weeks ago that we suspected that smaller regional races, local races and regional races would be the first to come back. And that seems to be what we're seeing.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad to see that, and I'm hopeful that this trend is going to continue and eventually some of the bigger events.
Onward and upward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's good to see. I'm just heartened to see this.
Yes.
And we actually got to participate in the fun. We got to play some reindeer games ourselves.
Reindeer games?
Well, we get to participate.
Yes. I was on a limited basis, but yes.
Yes. So Aimee got to do her first run post-surgery, first official run distance, a 5K post-surgery.
It's not a run, though. Let's just be clear. They brand it as the Cape Coral Animal Shelter Rescue Run 5K.
Yes.
And there were many fast people who ran, but
we were not among them.
Did not. We'll talk about that.
Yes.
But then we also were invited by two great people, such genuinely sweet, sweet people who own a food truck. And the first time that we got a chance to meet them and taste their fabulous food was actually almost a year ago to the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was maybe a couple weeks later this year, but the Viet Yum Food Truck invited us to sample their new dish, which we'll get into.
And we were more than happy to oblige.
Based on past experience.
So it's nice to revisit a food truck a year later, especially coming off of having gone through this year of 2020.
Yes. And now into 2021, seeing some of our favorites reemerge successfully.
Yes.
Makes my heart happy.
Absolutely.
And also my belly.
And then you managed to somehow or another secure coffee from across the country for our drink this week.
I'm so excited about that because Dennis and Creighton from Clever Bean, they're awesome. Since the beginning of our podcast and my daily coffee memes have interacted with us, supported us, sent us a pound of coffee to celebrate our podcast and their success. Just fantastic people. So when they said they needed beta testers for their cold brew coffee.
Their coffee brewing system.
Yeah. I mean, their cold brew coffee and their coffee brewing system both.
Oh, is the coffee itself also a new
No,
release?
it's new to us.
Okay.
You see,
I
because
see what you're
the
saying.
last pound of coffee we had was hot coffee. We brewed it as hot coffee. We did.
Yes, we did. We
You
did
know
not
what I
make-
mean.
We did not make any cold brew with that coffee.
Runcation Nation, you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm trying to say.
You know what she's got to work with here.
I'm doing my best, but the words that are coming out of my mouth are...
I think it's me. I think
Anyway.
it's me. Anyway,
Clever Bean is awesome.
They
We
sent
love
us
them.
coffee.
They sent us coffee.
they sent us a...
cold brew system,
Yes.
and we got to test it out.
So we're going to talk about the coffee that system produced.
So excited.
But let's talk running.
We're going to start with running, yes.
Yeah.
And that's the smart way to go, I feel like.
Well,
Don't
it is.
you?
This is one of those weeks where you could change up the order, but why would we do that? We've got a formula that seems to be working. Let's start with the running. This race that we did, the Cape Coral Animal Shelter 5K Rescue Run, or Rescue Run 5K, was originally supposed to happen this time last year.
When the pandemic began.
Yeah.
And it was also the opening of Cape Coral's first animal shelter.
First and only.
First and only, the Cape Coral Animal Shelter, a longtime passion project of Joanne from Wicked Dolphin.
Yes, Joanna Lardo, the proprietor of Wicked Dolphin Distilling here in Cape Coral. She's passionate about animals, and she was a driving force in the community at getting this no-kill animal shelter funded and built. And it's hard to believe. We live in a city that's 200,000 people.
It's a lot of people.
We are the second largest city by land area in the state of Florida. We are the largest municipality between Tampa and Miami on the Gulf Coast.
What's the first if we're the second?
Jacksonville.
I should have guessed that.
Yeah, Jacksonville is the largest by land area.
Yeah.
But, we're almost 200,000 people. And up until last year, we didn't have an animal shelter here. We relied on Lee County Domestic Animal Services for all of our shelter needs.
Yeah.
And then there are some smaller private shelters in Fort Myers.
Like Gulf Coast Humane Society?
Exactly.
For example, excellent organization.
So you have these other options, but Cape Coral didn't have its own. So this was a void that this organization filled, and we were thrilled to be able to sign up for a race supporting it. Because we have 4 rescues here in the house, 2 dogs, 2 cats.
Yes, and they are just the lights of our lives. And if we can support an organization that rescues these animals, gives them medical care, gives them the love and attention and everything they need until they can find their forever home.
Yeah, and something else that's not really advertised is that the Cape Coral Animal Shelter does low-cost veterinary services to the public as well.
Yeah, like the medical care they need. It's amazing.
It really is. So to get to support them was fantastic. We signed up for this race. We were excited to do it, and then 2020 happened.
Yeah.
And brought everything to a screeching halt.
And they initially postponed to October of 2021, and then we got to October, and they decided to push it out to basically the year anniversary.
Which I thought was great.
I think that was smart, very apropos, because the morning of the race, I'm getting ahead of myself, right? Packet pickup was at the run shop.
Oh, yeah. So we did packet pickup
Friday afternoon.
Yeah, Friday we go to the run shop. We've talked about the run shop before. The run shop, SHOPPE, here in Cape Coral. our friend and one of our running mentors, Rachel Lee, is the owner there, and she greeted us, and we talked running and talked about her path to the Kona Iron Woman or Iron Man?
Iron person?
Yeah, Iron Man. She's doing the try. And then we just got to talking to her for a little bit.
She's so talented.
Oh, she's a beast.
Yeah, and she works so hard at it.
And
she supports us in getting us the right running gear.
That too. That's the best part.
Plus, she times races.
And she also has a race timing company and was times a lot of our races here locally.
Yes, she does. Yeah.
So packet pickup, I think, couldn't have gone any smoother if we'd have wanted it to.
They were like a well-oiled machine. You go and you pick up, and it was a white shirt with the paw print logo from the Cape Coral Animal Shelter and all the sponsors on the back, and you
it was
get
like a dry fit type shirt, not a cotton shirt.
No, so you could wear it in the hot summer months of Florida for running.
It's going to get some use here soon.
Yeah, and what you say, like the hardcore bib with the timing chip.
Yeah, this was a chip timed race, and of course the bibs had the little chip in there, and it just what's your name? Boom, grab it,
done.
Go, done. We browsed around the store for a bit and then headed out. So that was Friday.
And then the morning of the race, it was hosted on site at the Cape Coral Animal Shelter. That's where the start was, and the parking lot had the pre-race party, as it were.
And you know what? I wasn't expecting that.
You were not?
When we got there, you start to see people parked in some empty lots. The Cape Coral Youth Center is right next door. We parked over there because it was paved, and we didn't want to park in one of the fields. We walk over, and they've got all these tents set up, and tables.
Yeah.
So you could grab I think you could get your bib that morning.
You could.
If you wanted to. You couldn't do any day of registration. They had sold out.
No.
I was really glad to hear that.
But you could do packet pickup, so that was good.
Packet pickup. And we get there, and of course the first thing we're greeted by as we walk up is a tent full of Dunkin' Donuts coffee and donuts.
So come on. Great. And then right next door was a local catering company.
Yes.
And they had breakfast sandwiches. They had biscuits with sausage and egg and cheese, and then they had croissants with sausage, egg, and cheese.
Yes. It was the catering company. The name escapes me, but they're one of the sponsors on the race website. They were a sponsor or have been a sponsor of our local police department's Do the Right Thing program over the years. They've hosted the Do the Right Thing annual scholarship luncheon.
Personal touch and catering.
That's it. And they actually have a banquet space. They took over, of all things, a bank and converted like the back of the bank where like the vault would normally be to the kitchen.
That's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. But
it's like when Apple takes over a store.
Yeah. And they did a great job at repurposing the space, and they've been just phenomenal community partners over the years. And I speak with some experience from this because I oversaw the Do the Right Thing program for years. And the Do the Right Thing program recognizes kids for, quote unquote, doing the right thing. So you might have a child that saves somebody's life or goes out of their way to raise funds for a charity or
rescue a pet.
Rescue a pet.
Yeah,
we've
had
an
animal.
We've had the gamut of things that kids do, and these kids get recognized. The seniors in high school get recognized every year at a banquet, and they get awarded a scholarship. And one scholarship, or half the scholarship funds are donated by the Fraternal Order of Police. The other half are donated by the fire department or the firefighters union. So it's just a really great company. They're super sweet. The food's always very good.
Yeah,
sandwiches.
We had it after because
we didn't eat before.
Because I was too nervous before.
We went on an empty stomach, but afterwards they were handing out the rest of the sandwiches, and we did start with coffee.
We did. That was important. Coffee fuels all races. Okay.
And I thought it was a nice touch that the folks from Dunkin' Donuts brought creamers for the coffee as well as almond milk for those that might want a.
There was vanilla, and I think that there was also not flavored almond milk. There was a variety.
That was
pretty great.
A nice touch.
Yeah, and there were dogs.
Oh my gosh, the number of people running with their dogs.
Oh,
was great.
An Australian cattle dog. And what was the big white one?
There were a couple of, there was a white German Shepherd. There was also a Husky on the course. A number of smaller to medium-sized dogs, pit mixes of a variety.
So great.
And super friendly, and owners were all very great. And if the dogs started to they'd sniff each other, and if it even looked remotely like this might end up not going well,
we're just going to step away.
Owners would just smile and step away. Yeah. It was good to see that.
Yeah. And we didn't bring our babies because they're like short-term runners.
Yeah. I jokingly refer to ours as race cars.
Yeah.
They're really fast, and they're really good on a short sprint.
Short.
But 3 miles is about the upper limit for them. I'm not usually comfortable taking them for longer than that.
Yeah.
And with the added excitement of all the people, other dogs and all that, I didn't know how they were going to fare.
Lots of stimulus.
And I was also the cameraman. We did a live stream.
It's a lot
Instagram.
to do for you. It really is.
Craft Services had his hands full.
So I think that was smart to just walk them before the race and then let them hang out at home. And it was great to see everybody else with their puppies on the course, and the weather was beautiful.
I rang that bell. Amy's eyeballing the bell. She wants to ring the bell. The weather was great.
It was.
We were in the 50s that morning.
Oh.
And it was clear, sunny, perfect running weather.
So good.
Yeah, and what I like about any of the races that are done locally that Rachel does the chip timing and helps organize, she's very good. She knows the deal. So she gets on the PA system. She gets everybody jazzed up with a welcome, and then she says, okay, here's what's going to happen. In about 5 minutes, we're going to start. Go ahead and get lined up. Get into it's not really
there aren't corrals, but she said police yourself and line up according to your start. And this is where
runners to the front.
And this is where the people with dogs want to line up, and this is where the walkers will line up, etc. So.
It was not her first rodeo, clearly. Yeah.
And everything on the course, she even said before we started that everything on the course would be well marked, and the volunteers were going to be out there helping direct, very well attended. And the water stops. When she said there would be 2.
I was surprised.
Yeah, at mile 1 and mile 2.
Yeah, normally you'll get, like on a 5K, you'll get one at like mile 1.5. Mm-hmm. So that way, if it's an out and back course, you hit it going and coming.
Yeah.
They didn't do that this time.
No. We've seen that before, but.
We have, but it was nice to have that. You could, of course, get refreshment at the beginning and the end of the race. Then you had 2 stops on the race if you needed it. Mm-hmm. But when you said the volunteers.
Yeah.
We had great, happy volunteers at the water stops. They were super nice.
Yeah, they were so friendly, and we just such great people, so very motivating, and cheered us on everywhere. It was fantastic.
They really were. And then shout out to, again, I'm pimping my own work here, but
of course.
The Cape Coral Police Department did a phenomenal job with their police volunteer unit. We have... Our police department has a volunteer unit of over 150 men and women that donate over $1 million a year of in-kind services to the police department. Much of that is actually spent out in marked cars providing traffic support for special events and traffic direction assistance to our patrol officers. Mm-hmm. So having the police volunteer unit out there basically at every intersection.
It really was.
Essentially.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Now let's talk about the race course itself.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Because I don't want to make it sound like we had all these major intersections shut down.
We didn't.
We didn't.
No. We started in the parking lot of the Cape Coral Animal Shelter. And we came out and we started out behind the youth center. And the only major thoroughfare that we made a turn on was in mile 1 out there on Santa Barbara Boulevard, which is a fairly well trafficked area.
That's a 6-lane north and south thoroughfare through the city. It's pretty
big. But the volunteers were there. They even had a water stop on one of the sidewalks right there on Santa Barbara as we hit mile 1.
I think that was an extra one thrown in there.
Yeah. I was going to say, because there at the end, I didn't expect to have the third water stop that we had.
Right.
She said there were going to be 2, and there were 3.
I think that was like a church that came out and decided to do an extra water stop.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's however
sweet.
that happened, that was amazing. That was out there on the sidewalk, right there at the stoplight as we turned into Sunsplash, which is Cape Coral's water park.
Yeah, that's
open in the summer.
Yeah, it's a family water park that the city operates. And we basically cut through the access road going to Sunsplash.
Yeah, so we went by water slides and that are getting ready to open for the summer and be back in full swing, hopefully. And we turned back into quiet and closed neighborhoods that were very safe to run.
Yes.
Or walk or what have you. There's not a whole lot of traffic back there.
No, not really. There are a couple of smaller businesses. It's mostly residential back there.
Yeah.
And it's all right near within a mile of the animal shelter.
Yeah. So we passed through the water park. We went through a couple of residential streets, past a water stop, and then right around to Wicked Dolphin. That was great.
Before they opened. Darn it.
I know. I feel like,
a little early, I guess. Can we next year incorporate an event where we maybe start at the animal shelter and then we finish at Wicked Dolphin and we have a rum tasting? That would be awesome. I'm just saying. That could be a nighttime race.
Or it could be, whatever. Or we could have a brunch tasting.
Ooh.
Okay.
True.
That's all I'm saying.
Very true. We'll have to get with Joanne and see if that could happen.
Maybe. Anyway, so we passed by Wicked Dolphin. We then had a couple of laps to go in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And we finished right back at the animal shelter.
Yes.
And
start and finish.
And I was under strict orders to walk the whole thing.
The Therabeast has spoken.
Kristen said, walk the whole thing, take your time, and I did. And as a result of that, we were the last to finish, and the volunteer car from the police department followed us in.
For the last quarter mile.
So, but I finished, and I was super sore afterwards, and I had to ice the knee a lot. But
thankfully, the course itself was
very flat.
Very flat, all paved. Mm-hmm. So you didn't have to endure any hill work or anything
uneven
crazy
terrain,
like
that kind of thing. I was very lucky, and it was a very good course. So I recommend it. I would do it again. They had age group awards and overall awards afterwards. They had more coffee and the breakfast still there. And it was just
a lot of people hanging out and just talking.
Yeah, I think
that was great to see.
People really hunger for these experiences that are part of the running community and the run walk run community.
I hear you.
That they just and speaking for us, I just feel like we are craving those kinds of experiences.
Oh, I know I am. I absolutely was loving just hanging out. We got to see friends of ours, Dan Rams, and
from
his
the Cape
family.
Coral Running Group, and his son, and he and
his son,
they got age group awards.
Yeah, I told him they're the fastest family in Cape Coral.
Absolutely, it was great to see them.
So they did a great job out there. And everybody did.
A great friend of the podcast, Christy Van Allen, got a PR.
She did. That's right.
So it was just a great day overall, and I'm so happy that we got a chance to be a part of it. A year in the making. Cape Coral Animal Shelter. We're so glad that you celebrated a year, and I believe that they said their 1,000th adoption as well.
They adopted over 1,000 dogs. Or animals. And that they achieved that milestone before the 1 year mark.
Which is incredible.
Yes.
So I know that everybody who works there and the people who put it together are just, their hearts and souls were in it, and we were happy to be a part of an event that supports the Cape Coral Animal Shelter.
So let's talk food. because we worked up an appetite. We did have some of those breakfast sandwiches afterwards. That's only going to get you so far in the day.
You need lunch and dinner.
You do. You got to have it. And you guys know that we do enjoy the food truck scene here in Southwest Florida.
Oh, yes.
What I like about food trucks, and you might feel differently, Aim, I like the fact that with food trucks, you can oftentimes get a unique flavor experience in a different location. And what I mean by that is you might be at a brewery, for instance, and one week it's going to be a barbecue truck. The next week it might be Asian inspired, or the week after that it might be island inspired, whatever the case may be.
Or day to day it could be different.
Absolutely.
At the same brewery. If you have a brewery locally close to you, where like maybe you can walk there, or maybe it's just a short Uber ride or Lyft, whatever, or you have a designated driver, or some people, they just walk, or yeah.
Especially for neighborhood breweries, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice that you can get a different experience a lot of the time, and different, varieties of food.
Yes.
That you might be craving.
And I also think it's unique to see it's interesting to see the quality of food coming off of food trucks these days.
They work so hard.
It's super competitive.
To achieve it. Yes. And I think when you tie yourself to a brewery that is so successful, that is I would say the anchor of the brewery scene here in Southwest Florida, that it's a very competitive to be there because it is such a popular place.
And of course, you're talking about Fort Myers Brewing.
Yes.
This week. And we're mentioning that because
they just celebrated 8 years.
Yeah, they celebrated 8 years. Their 7-year anniversary was one of the last times we got to go out there for an event before the pandemic struck.
Yes.
And this food truck that we're talking about, we got introduced to at Fort Myers Brewing at their 7-year anniversary.
We did.
And this is the Viet Yum Food Truck.
Viet Yum. And we first encountered them and featured their Bahn Mi Rice Bowl on episode 104.
I remember that bowl.
We took a picture of it in front of their vividly colored truck. That's such a vibrant truck. When you pull up to the brewery and you see that, those colors, you just know it's them.
And I know that I'm a sucker for marketing. I am. I think that when a food truck takes that extra bit of effort to really do a phenomenal look to their truck.
And that's hard work.
Yeah, it is. They'll get them, whether it's painted or wrapped or whatever the case may be. I think that it improves the experience a little bit.
Design and color and all that plays into how attracted the audience is going to be. And you should be attracted to the Viet Yum Food Truck.
Well, you eat with your eyes
You
first,
really should.
And that usually starts with the food. But I think especially when you start talking about the crowded food truck space, that's getting a eye-catching design on the food truck really makes a difference. And these guys nailed it.
Christina and AJ, they are amazing humans, friendly, sweet, hardworking people. And we tried their Bahn Mi Rice Bowl and talked about it last year, but and
it's still on the menu.
It's still on the menu. And we made a point of going out there after we had that rice bowl to tell them how amazing the rice was and how amazing just the overall dish was. And we gave them our card and sticker and told them we were going to talk about it on the show. And you could tell they were so honored. And I was like, hey, we're just a little podcast, bud.
It's just us talking about your food.
It's just us, but we think you deserve a megaphone. And if we can provide just even a little baby one, it's okay. It's good.
Absolutely.
So they remembered us from that experience. And they reached out to us via Facebook and said, hey, we're going to have a new dish on the menu. We're going to be at Fort Myers Brewing on Thursday at the food truck rally, which is like 3 or 4 food trucks together at this brewery. And they said, would you come out and give it a try and let us know what you think?
And I said, absolutely.
Are you? Let's get in the car right now.
Let's go now. Well, yeah. We couldn't right then, but
it wasn't Thursday.
We headed out
so we
there.
had to wait until Thursday, but then we headed out there. Yes.
So we headed out there, and of course, Fort Myers Brewing has done a lot to really foster the food truck scene here in Southwest Florida. They regularly have multi-truck food truck rallies out in the parking lot.
Thursdays are very big days.
Yes, with live music,
draw crowds,
and they basically have embraced the fact that the crowds are bigger than their space, and it is very common to see groups of friends sitting in clusters in foldable chairs that they bring from home.
Oh, yeah. They're like all spread out.
And their shirts even say it's the best beer you'll ever have in a parking lot.
Yeah.
So they've embraced that completely. And so they had, I think, 3 or 4 food trucks when we showed up.
True.
We were greeted immediately by the vibrantly colored, greatly decorated Viet Yum Food Truck. And I think you've got that that is in the show or the episode artwork, right?
Some of it, yeah. Like the food in front of the truck.
Okay.
Is what it is.
And we dove right in to try this new offering from Viet Yum.
Oh, my goodness.
You want to read the description?
I do, but how do you pronounce it?
I would say Saigon Musubi.
Okay. Saigon Musubi. And if I butcher that, I am so sorry. Sushi made with fried Spam, caramelized in Saigon sauce, wrapped with white jasmine rice, roasted black sesame seeds, and green onions in nori seaweed paper, drizzled with spicy mayo for $7.
All right, let's break this down. Because speaking as somebody who's been married to Aimee for almost 25 years. I've known her for over 30 years. I never expected her to gleefully embrace any dish with Spam.
It wasn't in my household growing up. Was it in yours?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Really? It was not a big thing.
Yeah, Spam, bologna, Vienna sausages, all that stuff that I grab when it's time to stock up our pantry for hurricane season.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a reason I gravitate towards those things. Those are like childhood comfort foods, and they're also high caloric value. So,
of course.
Yeah.
Well,
but Spam is a camping food. It's a staple in Hawaiian cooking very often. And now we're seeing it in a sushi dish.
Yeah, so if you're the type of person that's like, ooh, raw food, if that turns you off, I recommend this dish because
I didn't think about that.
There are some people who I love, like when we get the ahi tuna nachos down on the way to the Keys. What is that? Little Torch Key.
I know where you're talking about.
Kiki Sandbar.
Kiki Sandbar.
Right?
Yes.
When we get that, I like the ahi tuna that's not seared, that's just the raw tuna.
Right.
But there are some people who are like, just that is not my thing. The texture is not good, or I have allergies. Or
fear of foodborne illness.
Yeah, whatever it is, this is totally cooked.
Yes.
100%. And I think that all their dishes are.
Well,
on the menu, but this one specifically that we're talking about now totally is.
Yeah, they take the Spam, which is cooked. It's cooked and it's in the can. But then they are going a step further and they are coating it in this Saigon sauce, which I guess the best description of this would be like a teriyaki.
Is it a teriyaki? Yeah, I guess.
Like a salty, sweet, soy sticky kind of thing.
Okay.
And they are caramelizing it in that sauce. So it's glazed. It's not only cooked through, it's also glazed in that sauce.
So it's set their whole description of it on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because we just read the menu description from the actual food truck menu that was there that night. Their Instagram post says, our little take on Spam Musubi. Sorry. Fried Spam caramelized in our Saigon sauce, wrapped with jasmine rice, toasted black sesames, green onion, nori seaweed, drizzled with our spicy mayo mix.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
that's, I'm just saying.
What did you think of it?
As somebody who is not really grown up on Spam, I thought it was great. The texture was soft. I expected the Spam to be more akin to the texture of bacon.
Oh.
Like that they had caramelized it on their flat top or on their grill more to make it firmer, like a crisp bacon. But no, it was tender.
Almost like bologna.
Yeah, but not taken to the point of being crispy. Mm-hmm. And the rice that surrounded it was just so flavorful. And the nori is like the salty component. And then there was the spice. The spice from how it was coated and then fried in the sauce. And then also that the spicy mayo was drizzled.
Yes.
So I was a huge fan, and I almost said, get your own. Just go and get your own. But that's not fair because you tried it first. Right?
I don't remember if I tried it first or not.
I don't know, but I was thinking you should have your own. Regardless. Not irregardless, people. Because, the Will Roar Run podcast, the We Will Run For podcast.
Yes.
People, they're like, regardless. It's not a favorite word. Not a word. So there you go.
Spoken like a true former English teacher right there.
Doesn't matter. It's all slang anyway. So what did you think?
Well, I love sushi of all varieties.
Yeah.
I will do cooked rolls. I will do raw rolls. I have no problem. I just enjoy sushi a lot. This was beautiful, the way it was plated.
Oh,
and they didn't do anything special for us as far as the plating. This is the way they were coming out from the truck.
Mm-hmm. And it took a little bit longer for everybody's dish to come out. But when everybody got their dishes, because you eat with your eyes first, like you said, gorgeous.
It's worth the little bit of the wait. And we're not talking a long wait, but it's worth the wait as you're getting the item off the food truck. And you're looking at this going, there's no way this came off the food truck. So immediately what I noticed about this was the rice. That was the first thing that jumped out at me because I've had really good sushi. I've had not so great sushi. The key to sushi or good sushi is the starchiness of the rice so that it holds together very well.
Yeah.
And they nailed it. Their rice was very sticky. It was perfect for making a roll, and it was perfect the way that it not only surrounded the Spam on the inside, but it also adhered to the nori, the seaweed
It didn't
wrapper.
fall apart. No.
It didn't fall apart at all. You could eat with chopsticks if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Or you could eat with your fingers. Either way.
Yes.
The Spam was perfect. I grew up not only on the things I talked about, but fried bologna and fried Spam were two things that my mom and my dad would do growing up. We never caramelized it in Saigon sauce, mind you, but I wish we had, because this extra dimension of not only heating that Spam through, but also adding that sweet and salty, sticky texture to it was fantastic. So you got the meatiness and that umami, but you got the sweet and salty from the sauce. I love sesame seeds as well, so you got a little bit of pop and a little hint
Different
of the aroma of sesame.
Too. Yeah.
And their spicy mayo was creamy and tart and had a little bit of a kick. It wasn't going to light you on fire.
It wasn't going to blow your doors off.
It was there.
It created layers of flavor.
It did. So for me, this was a winner. I think it needs to stay on the menu. If they're going to be somewhere this weekend.
Christina and AJ, hear us now. Remember it tomorrow. Think of it next weekend.
Yeah.
All the things.
Yeah. This is a absolute must try if you see their truck in a parking lot somewhere.
It's an homage to their heritage and their family recipes. And I just Well done. Applause, applause, applause.
Yeah, and we're going to have photos of this in the episode artwork. I believe we'll be sharing some big pictures on social media.
Yep.
And
they did share your face.
There might be
captured the expression that said delicious.
They did
on your face.
I loved this particular roll, and again for $7.
Yeah, because you get 4 large pieces, right? And
might have been 6.
Was it?
Let me see. No. I have to go back to a photo and take a look.
It was 4 very large pieces, and then we had cucumber on the end.
Oh, that's what it was. The cucumber looked like almost like an extra slice of the roll.
And it was kind of a refreshing extra layer of texture.
Actually, it was. Mm-hmm. You could, if you wanted to, you could either have the cucumber in between as a palate cleanse, or you could just have a little, you could put a little bit on your bite and go.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, or however you wanted to do it. But so...
Well done.
It really was.
Viet Yum. You got to check it out if you ever come to Southwest Florida for any kind of runcation or vacation. Christina and AJ, like we said, will be back anytime, anywhere you are.
Absolutely.
And we can't wait for you to be full-time everywhere.
Yeah, and we're gonna link to them in the show notes. You can check
their
them
social
out.
media.
Their social media. Their secret weapon is that their food is really Instagrammable, really photogenic food. So it's gonna make you hungry to look at it, but it's absolutely worth it.
Go get it.
Get down here to Southwest Florida. Go get yourself some Viet Yum. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about drinking in just a second. But before we do, I want to say thank you to all of our patrons who've been supporting the show and our growth throughout 2020 and into 2021. I'm about to finish, and I've been talking about it, but I'm about to finish the last of our technology upgrades here in the studio. I'm waiting on the last part to arrive. It'll be here day after tomorrow.
I'm really hoping that our patrons who have supported us each month with their contributions, I hope they love the upgrade to the quality of our camera and our live streams and the quality of our show.
Yeah, the fact that we're even doing live streams.
Yes. That we're doing live streams, but also in the editing and in the production value. I hope you like it. I can't wait for Dana to show you the finishing touches on our technology. And because of you, we've been able to keep bringing you the show despite challenges that we faced in 2020 and 2021 as a Runcation podcast.
Yeah, and it's 100% due to y'all's support.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. We have 3 levels of monthly support, $2, $5, or $10 levels. Each one of those have their own special perks that will allow us to continue to add to the show in 2021, and we're going to continue to add to those levels. Mm-hmm. We're going to add perks.
Yes.
And make each one even better.
Yes, patrons, they get a special thank you message from us, a birthday shout out on social media. Insiders at the highest level of patronage and contribution to the show get a look behind the scenes, get access to video footage from special interviews that we didn't release, get access to cooking demos, exclusive tastings of favorite food and beverage that didn't make it into regular episodes. It's more. It's more of the Run Eat Drink podcast that you love.
And we are happy to give it to you guys. If you're not a patron already, we hope you'll visit patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast to learn more and become a patron today. The show is always going to be free, but if you want more and you want to support us and help keep this going long term, check us out. Patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast.
As always, we thank everyone for any and every way you support and you continue to support the Run Eat Drink podcast.
Let's talk drinking. I was about to take us back to running.
Oh, it's okay.
No, drinking.
Okay.
And this week, we are talking coffee. Not Irish coffee.
No.
Not Kioki coffee.
Also good.
Not anything with any alcoholic spirit in there.
100% non-alcoholic. Hello.
We're talking cold brew coffee.
Indeed. So we know that we have a lot of followers that enjoy cold brew coffee.
How could you not? Really and truly, cold brew, and this is not to be confused with hot coffee poured over ice.
Yes, you've been to coffee college. Tell us.
I feel like we should be playing Pomp and Circumstance in the background, but
I don't have that on a button, so we're just going to have to go without it.
Imagine it. Okay, so cold brew coffee is really very simple. It's basically you take filtered water and coffee grounds and you pour them into a container and you let it steep.
You have discussed and described when you were in college and working for Caribou Coffee.
Yes.
The process you would go through to create cold brew to offer in the coffee shop.
Yeah, basically you're mixing coffee grounds and filtered water, and then you let that steep overnight, and then you filter it out.
Yeah.
There's a number of different products out there that people can use. There are basically coffee bags that some people are using. There
might have been a cold brewer in this house that I broke.
There may have been at one time. That may have happened.
Sorry.
But it's what I like about cold brew is what I think is most appealing is that you get a really good depth of flavor because the coffee is staying in contact with the water for a very long time. But you're not getting an overly acidic beverage because you're not using heat to extract the oils from the coffee. It's a cold brew or cold steeping process. So the result is
smoother, not bitter.
It's smoother, not bitter. You tend to get just a very deep coffee flavor, and it brings out, in a lot of ways, the unique flavor of that particular varietal of bean. So it's a great way to experience your favorite type of coffee, whether it's a Kenya Double A or a Costa Rican Terrazzo.
Like you love Costa Rican Terrazzo.
I love Costa Rican Terrazzo. That's probably my favorite coffee on the planet Earth.
Ethiopian, whatever people want to try.
Yeah. Now, at Caribou, when I used to work there back in the 90s, we used a Kenya Double A for ours. Yeah. And that is typically a highly acidic coffee, but it mellows it out when you do the cold brew process. So you would get a really intense coffee flavor without the tartness or the acidity.
Okay.
A lot of people like it if they have ulcers and they want to enjoy coffee without upsetting their ulcer.
Yeah.
And that's not medical advice. I'm not a doctor.
Of course.
So
naturally, we're not.
Do not listen to me for medical advice.
Listen to a doctor, yes.
But we would get that request a lot for that reason. It was interesting to see that. And it's just something that is a completely different flavor experience than if you brew a hot coffee and then pour it over ice. Yeah. In my mind, and to me, I think that creates a watery mess that's not really very good.
It's more watered down, sometimes more of a bitter flavor.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm so happy that we got to experience a cold brew coffee system from Dennis and Creighton at Clever Bean.
Yeah, you connected with them through social media a while back.
When I started the podcast and when we started it together and we started all the social media channels, I was just, here's a little bit of a peek behind the curtain and getting to know Aimee and Dana. We love coffee, so it became a thing to post a morning or daily coffee post of some sort of quote or a meme or a picture of us enjoying coffee, something connected to coffee because we love it so much. And it's part of our history so much.
It is.
Because I think that one of the times that we were thinking about dating. I was thinking about dating so long ago, many years, many moons ago, that I just have vivid memories of having coffee at a coffee shop with you.
Yes.
So it's got emotional memories. It's got connections to your past as a barista and all your knowledge and passion for coffee. And then I just love it as a coffee connoisseur.
I
certified
agree completely.
Certified from
you
last
are
week.
Now certified.
So,
yes.
So when I posted these coffee posts in the morning on social media, here's Dennis and Creighton coming in and commenting and getting into the conversation with me. And they were just opening in Draper, Utah, their coffee shop, the Clever Bean Coffee Shop. And they they loved how we supported them, and we commented on their posts and like their videos, and they would make cute little videos that were humorous about making coffee and working and opening the coffee shop.
Their videos are cute.
And we would jump on when they stream live music from the coffee shop. But so they sent us a pound of their coffee for all of that support, and we fell in love with brewing their hot coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pandemic, and they had to pivot. And they're two of the hardest working people that I know, and I've never met. Because during the pandemic, they have figured out how to pivot and offer their branded products like stickers and hats and all sorts of apparel, but also their coffee beans, and now this, and coffee subscription, and also now their cold brew coffee system.
Yeah, and this is a beta test of what of the product kind of in its infancy. We're trying some things out, and we're giving them our feedback.
Yeah.
And the best way I could describe it, and we're going to have video. I believe the video is going to be for the patrons to check out.
Sure.
But we'll probably have maybe
we'll have some snippets on social media.
Some snippets on social media of the whole thing. But basically, it's a system that consists of two really big mason jars,
which I love as a Southerner.
And one is your steeping vessel for the cold brew. So you put your water and your ground beans in there. And the other is the collection vessel. And then using this, I think it's like a 3D printed double-sided collar.
Well, we don't know, but whatever they did.
You can basically fasten down a filter and connect the two jars and invert it. And it pours out the brewed coffee.
Because you have the filter that filters everything. That filters the coffee out.
And it retains the grounds in the other vessel. And all you have to do is just clean out that vessel. And then you've got this other jar full of fresh brewed cold brew coffee.
And we'll link to their social media because they've been posting some pretty fun videos of how the vessel looks.
Yes.
As well.
So I'm curious. I'm going to be really curious to see what the final product looks like, if it changes any. Based on the feedback, I'm sure they're going to take these things into account. But it's an ingenious system. We made some coffee with it overnight.
We filled up one of the mason jars with water. We got in the ground coffee. We let it steep overnight.
Let it sit overnight.
And then we filtered it out in that process that you talked about. And it also came with some caramel syrup. And so I feel like Dennis and Craig know me.
They
know me and love.
She is a caramel fanatic.
Okay. Sorry.
And I love the fact that the product they chose, again, this is not a sponsor.
No.
And they're not sponsors.
No.
Da Vinci syrups, I think, are some of the best tasting flavored syrups for coffee.
Indeed.
They don't taste artificial. Mm-hmm. They do a really nice job of being consistent from bottle to bottle.
Yep.
This, and Danny agrees.
Danny agrees. You can hear her barking. She is totally supporting 100%.
So basically, we have this fantastic iced cold brew coffee with caramel syrup.
It was delightful. And
fantastic.
We still have some in the refrigerator. And I think they are sending us more coffee.
More coffee to test.
So that we can test the couple of different ways to brew.
Yeah, there are a couple of different configurations you can do as far as how you place the coffee in the water. Mm-hmm. Do you do it in the filter, out of the filter? I even have a third idea that I'm going to try.
Yeah, we're investigating and
So I'm very excited to help these guys bring this product to market. I think this will be a lot of fun. But regardless, it's too late to get in on the beta test for everybody else. But
you can order their coffee. And you can also be a part of their subscription service and get their swag.
And I was going to compliment them on the actual coffee itself. This is something I've talked about, like even with one of our local roasters here, Narrative Coffee. Oh, very similar.
Caleb.
They are not dark roasting all of their beans. They are roasting the appropriate amount of time for the varietal. And what that does is it allows you to develop the unique flavors of the bean. It is you're doing a disservice to the coffee farmers and the roast masters that are picking these beans and selecting them. if you're just roasting everything super dark and treating all beans the same.
Yeah.
So these guys are doing the coffee right.
Yay.
And they have online ordering
Yep.
and delivery throughout throughout the United States.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I don't know if they're global.
I don't know if they're global.
Probably not. That's super expensive.
Question. I'm not sure. As someone who tried to ship swag overseas,
we've learned the hard way. Really expensive.
It's not. Yeah.
So
yes,
we'll have a link to them in the show notes, though.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to check them out and get a pound of coffee. Try them out. You'll be shocked, really and truly, if you experiment around with coffees that are not from the big name coffee shops and seeing what difference brewing makes, whether you're going to do it as a cold brew or you're going to do it as a hot brew. And I would always recommend, if you're going to do hot brew at home, pick up a French press. Don't even have to spend a lot of money on one. You can grab an inexpensive one. They all work the same. Grab an inexpensive one off of Amazon and do your coffee via French press at home. You will thank me for it later, I promise you.
They have coffee mugs. They have canisters. They have Chemex filters.
Very nice.
On their website, and it is the U.S.
Okay, U.S. only.
Yeah.
All right. Understandable.
I get it.
So
I got it.
Check them out.
Clever Bean. We link to all their social media and their website as well. That's thecleverbean.com. So.
And their YouTube is great. So check them out. Order some coffee from them. Yeah. Again, not sponsors of the show. They just make a mean cup. And they enable us to make a mean cup at home.
Oh, yeah. And they've been great friends and supporters of ours since the inception of our show. So that does it for today.
It does.
So sad.
Stay tuned for more fun with us next week. We do have some stuff lined up for you guys already.
Great running, eating, and drinking segments.
But if you haven't already done it yet, do us a favor. Go over to Apple Podcasts and give us a rating and review this week. We are trying our best to grow the Runcation Nation. I am happy to announce that we've topped 600 followers on Facebook.
Yay!
So that's fantastic. Thank you guys so much. And we are seeing more downloads, but we could use a few more.
Yeah.
And if you will head over there and do a rating and review, it helps people find us when they're searching for words like running, eating, drinking, and it helps us get served up in search results.
And we really appreciate the feedback. Like this one we got very recently, which is titled, Always Learn Something New. And it says, whether it's a tip about running or a recommendation for food or drink, I always learn something new. These two have great chemistry, obviously in parentheses. And pace to their podcast that keeps me coming back. They also have some great and inspirational interviews. Keep up the great work.
And that's from TZA 2011.
I don't know who that is.
I don't either, but thank you so much.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
We try. We're trying, and we're trying to make it better as we go.
Yes.
So
thank you.
That does it for this week. Thank you for joining us on your long run, your commute to work, around the house, wherever you are. I am your host, Aimee. I'm your host, Aimee.
She's Aimee. I'm Dana.
That's Dana.
Your co-host. Stay safe, stay well, and we will accomplish, explore, and indulge with you really soon.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.